same color as my living room or our living room. And I said, it doesn't matter. You can't see my office from the living room. It doesn't matter. And so I was not allowed to use that color. And so I got to pick this color, but I do like it. And he is weird. So
Why would he dictate the color of your office?
he wasn't dictating the color of my office. He was saying that um, if I painted it this color, he was going to have to paint the living room a different color. And I was like, oh my God, that's no. And so I was like, let me find something else.
I love it. It's like, it's not worth the marriage. It's okay. Calm down. I will find a different color.
My quality of life is not disrupted by the outside of the color of my home, the floor on my floor, as long as I have a floor, like I'm like, just pick and tell me what you did, because he would drive me crazy otherwise. She knows. Julia knows.
I do. Good old Brian.
She was in my wedding and she's like, oh my God, his family's so
They are. They might be, they're wound very tight, very tightly.
very nice people, very caring. They just they're very particular about a lot of things that I just don't care about. So I'm like, do whatever you want.
Well, it's good that you don't care about them. That would be a recipe for disaster. Julia, I love that green on you.
Thank you. I know, right? My lack of skin pigment feels very intentional, like an intentional choice.
You look tanned also. I mean, I think you spent some time outside, so
this is tan for me. So yes. So I went to a friend's house and I was like, man, she's been inside unwell for a long time, and I have been outside gardening and working, and we're the same shade. And I'm like, how? I thought for sure this one time, but no. What are you gonna do?
Well, if at some point I get bored, I brought gluten-free Oreos to snack on.
They're so good.
Those are my favorite. I think I like them better than regular Oreos.
So you can eat both, but you prefer the gluten-free ones?
I can, in a broad sense. Like, I can put it into my mouth and chew it and swallow it. The consequences of that action, I don't care for. So so I'm happy that I actually prefer the taste and texture of the gluten-free ones over.
That doesn't happen. It doesn't happen often with carbohydrates.
Sure. I agree.
The Oreos are so good.
There's something about them. Yeah. I really enjoy them.
It's because there's a little bit of salt and there's a lot of cocoa and it's crispy. Like, I've had a bunch of different kinds of gluten-free cookies. Those are the best ones.
Yeah.
I have
they're like more chocolatey.
They are. There's a little bit of salt to like balance it out. So for my birthday, my daughter took the mint gluten-free Oreos and covered them in chocolate and made me cookies, and they're in the freezer right now. I know, be still your heart.
So what I've started to do is I take the gluten-free mint Oreos, I chop them up like Cold Stone style, and I'll sprinkle it over vanilla ice cream with some caramel sauce. Yeah,
I've done that. It's so good. It's so good. Not everybody likes the taste of mint, but man, it's probably one of my favorites. Like, if I were an everyday herb, I could easily be mint for sure. All day, every day.
Which variety of mint?
Oh, peppermint, never spearmint. Never.
Oh, ever. No. Spearmint is not good.
Yeah.
Spearmint tastes like artificial mint, and it's actual mint, and it confuses me, and I don't like it.
My mother's mother, my maternal grandmother, smoked like bananas smoked, and then she would try to cover it up with spearmint scented gum. And so
Nope.
I always think of her when I smell or taste spearmint, and I just have to spit it out. So it's just like,
Oh
no.
gosh. So was it like fresh cigarette smoke or stale cigarette smoke plus spearmint?
Sometimes she was even chewing gum while she was smoking, so I don't think she ever didn't have a cigarette in her hands or in her fingers.
Do-it-yourself
So
menthol, Kara.
yeah, basically. Yeah.
That's a lot of
That
oral
sounds like
care.
a really sounds like a good way to ruin your gum.
Well, she's gone now, so it's okay.
Rest in peace.
So, well, I put it in the newsletter and people really liked it. So Rebecca thought that we should carry it over because it's an interesting argument. I know what you wouldn't bring into your house because I know you, but if you had a brownie, would you like brownies with nuts or brownies without nuts?
People had a lot of opinions about this. The brownies.
So many opinions.
Usually
It was really exciting.
Okay, this is interesting. Usually it's like, do you prefer them fudgy or do you prefer them cakey? But no, this is like a whole, this changes
Textural.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want any brownie or any nuts in my brownies at all. If I could eat grain again, I would never eat a nut in my brownie.
I would do chocolate chips. I would lean in harder to the chocolate, to be honest. And it's not like I don't like nuts. My husband is allergic.
Yeah.
So he would obviously, but you know, I still wouldn't do it. Even if
I like nuts. Good. I love nuts. I have to eat like nut flours and stuff like that. So I became very accustomed to it. I just don't, if I'm going to have a fudgy cakey brownie, I want it pure and not have nuts in it. No texture.
The addition of chocolate chips, Ghirardelli does put chocolate chips into their mix, and you're right, it increases.
It's so good. Yeah, that's so good. And that's it. And then like a glass of milk, and I don't need to bring nuts into it.
So I'm not
trying to rescue my brownie experience with nutrition. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm going for. That's not what I'm here for.
Nutrition. So I can't eat nuts because of my stomach, but I love the flavor. I love the earthiness to it. I think especially because, you know, we do tend to add enough sugar to the chocolate brownie that it's not super bitter. So I think it offers some balance in the flavor profile, though I don't love how it messes with the texture. I'm with you guys on that one.
Yeah. I like to add a little extra cocoa and salt, man. Like you said, you got to get that balance or it's no good.
Yeah.
It's my favorite. I love salt. It's your low blood pressure's best friend.
That's why I love salt. I run low.
I do too.
I'm like,
oh yeah, I get the gray out woozies like easy, no problem.
Yeah. I don't think I've been real purposeful about it, but maybe I should just be like, add more salt.
Yeah, dude. It's a pretty good problem to have, apparently.
Honestly.
I mean, when I need iodine or iodine.
Some people need iodine. It's okay to need iodine.
That's true.
When I need sodium, because they're so similar, I'll just start eating pickles. And I love dill pickles. And it helps.
I love all kinds of veggie pickles. Have you guys ever had pickled cauliflower?
It's so good.
No.
Oh my God.
Is it?
It was a revelation. I thought I felt an eye open on my forehead the first time I had it. It was that good.
No way.
I enjoyed it.
Dude, and then you go one step further once you're in your pickle journey to fermented and pickled, and then all the eyes open up everywhere.
So I have a German pickling crock, and I used to do it myself, and I would have a special fridge that was set just a little bit higher on temperature to mimic the temperature that the earth is year round. Like when people used
Nice.
to bury
Yeah, like
crops in
a
the
root
ground.
cellar tender.
Yeah, and I would let it sit for 3 months minimum. I tell you guys, the brine took on this wine quality. It was so freaking good. I don't have time for that now, but I daydream about it. And I have my Crocs still in my
That's so
garage.
old-timey.
I should go back and just start doing it again. I miss it so much.
Yeah, you'll get
That
it.
sounds amazing.
You'll get there again.
Yeah.
See, I just want the root cellar. I want to like dig out a root cellar and like go in there with my little lantern, like hunched over and like tend to my roots and, you know, pickling jars and shit. But I don't have that.
I love the
I just
face
want
that
like
you
a
just
hole
picked.
into the earth.
Yeah.
Just go in there.
I mean, I am not a fan of the Lord of the Rings movies, but the face that you just made in the like little thing, that was very much a what's his name? The My Precious guy. Not Gollum.
Oh, Gollum.
Gollum?
Mm-hmm.
There you go. It was very on point.
I'm gonna take that
A
as
little bit of a Hobbit energy into it. Yeah. But yeah, a root cellar.
She's talking about root cellars, and she's like, you know, going through there. So yeah.
I feel like I am part goblin as a person for sure. So that's kind of on brand for me.
A friendly goblin.
Well,
yeah.
To you.
No, I think that so Julia was in my wedding, and we went to Pittsburgh overnight for my bachelor party, and we went to like an art museum called the Mattress Factory in Pittsburgh. And Julia was just talking to everybody. I mean, everyone. We were at the hotel getting ready to get onto our bus, and some man came over who was also smoking, I believe. Yeah. No. We didn't drink. I was with my husband's family. I mean, I think we all had like a beer. We went to oh God, Julia, it was a hamburger place. We had Fatheads beer. Is it Fatheads?
I had a hard cider if I had anything, and that's more juice than alcohol, to be honest. But I don't drink much, so it probably got me a little chatty.
This was before. This was before when we were leaving for downtown Pittsburgh, south side of Pittsburgh. And Jess was just like, she talks to everybody a lot. And I'm like, yeah, she's real friendly. So you're wrong. You're friendly. I don't care what you say.
Terrible. You're right. I guess I am friendly.
Okay, we like you anyway, Julia. We accept you just as you are.
Oh no, but I need to be cantankerous.
I mean, you know what? Every time I think that I'm grumpy or cranky too, everybody's like, you're not cranky. And I'm like, really? Because I feel like I am. I feel like I'm real sassy.
Maybe I save all my crankiness for off hours. I don't know.
I don't think so.
The sun goes down and the goblin comes out.
I think it's more of a little bit. Like my shoes come off and my pajamas come on, and I like run around barefoot in the yard. Although I did that at your house, Kara.
You ran around barefoot in my yard?
Yeah, you weren't home yet. I went.
Yeah, I know.
Right. I went and I made your husband go in the back and tell me about his very neat lawn lines, because he mows them very straight. And he showed me the weed job he did, and we talked about the grass, and he really, and then we ran around barefoot in the yard.
Oh gosh.
Dog.
I think
your dog does not play fetch very well. Your dog is a toy hog, and it ruined the game. So doesn't want to share.
He likes to tease. He's a teaser. He likes to tease as he herds the people, because all the people have to be in the circle, but he's pretending he's that's his job.
Yeah. It was manipulative, and I walked away. So just so you know, you're living with a monster.
Oh my goodness. Oh, which of the characters, of the main characters, would be most likely to walk around in somebody's backyard barefoot?
Oh. Oh, that's an interesting question.
Sophie Lane.
Doesn't somebody have earth magic? Would that be Astrid?
I was thinking
Astrid.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. I could see her like digging her toes in the moss for sure. She got that energy.
Yeah. And she's got that like just get in there and get it done and like got to be one with what's happening. Like she just wants to be in the middle of all of it.
Yeah, there's like a practical, she wants to get to know things in a very practical and real way.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense for Astrid. I was gonna say, I was like, I mean, as try as I might, I don't see Carson running around barefoot in the yard. That's not, but sneaking around in someone's basement, I could see her doing that.
Why?
Or like an attic. Yeah.
But why? Why can you see her?
Ghosts. I don't know what to tell you.
Okay. Because she's talking to the ghosts.
Totally.
She does she'll follow the clues where they go. Like she'll just go where she has to. So I could see her just inadvertently. It's like, well, this is where the clues are going. I guess we're going into this person's.
I guess we're going into the root cellar now. There we go.
Oh, yes. Carson needs to end up in a root cellar in the story.
All right. That is noted.
That sounds
probably
like some Nancy Drew trouble waiting to happen, where she sleuths herself down into a root cellar and then someone shuts the door and like lights it on fire and then Ned has to rescue her. So just don't do that and we're great.
And then who has to rescue her?
Oh, her love interest Ned from Nancy Drew.
Oh, I'm saying, wait, we were talking about
forget?
Harrison and Nancy Drew. So it was like, I didn't know if there was crossover names, but you're right. That makes me so mad. I don't even want to go into
You would never name anything Ned. I can't see you naming a character Ned.
Well, I loved Gem and the Holograms and I loved Nancy Drew. And then I realized that these very intelligent, rich CEO, rock star, investigators always had all of this stuff going for them, but then the man always had to rescue them, which is not to say that there's anything, about the man or anything like that. It's an interesting thing. In Star Wars, the latest one, with the very first one that they came out with Ren, she saved herself. And I just thought that was so cool.
Dude, Gem and the Holograms is like a soap opera. It's like she's in a love triangle with herself. It's insane. My daughter loved it so much that we made our own Gem and the Holograms costume for her for Halloween when she was she was really little. But it was like, very much like someone's playing dolls and just doing the most dramatic things they can possibly think of. It was wild. I don't know if you ever saw it, Rebecca, but it is a trip.
I got to catch a
She-Ra's.
Yeah.
Yeah. She-Ra is better, in my opinion. But I did love Gem and the Holograms when I was growing up. Because she had it all. And then she had a guy rescue her every time she got in trouble.
Mm-hmm. That's the Nancy Drew formula for sure.
Well, that's interesting too that you brought up Nancy Drew, right? Because Nancy Drew was a ghostwriting collaborative thing too. She wasn't just one person, right?
I'm sorry, what? No, for real? How did I not know this?
Oh wait, is this real? I thought you were joking.
Wait, Carolyn Keene is a ghostwriting collaborative?
That's what I thought.
Rebecca, didn't you find that out, Rebecca, when we were looking at writers collaboratives?
Across a couple of different blog posts, and I think there was a newspaper clipping somewhere. They all corroborated this idea that Nancy Drew was a collaborative. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Some of our most
so many books.
I know. Some of our most beloved characters, storylines, ongoing franchises are writer collaboratives. Yeah.
That's I just like I didn't know that people were doing it. They just had to pretend they weren't doing it, I guess.
No, it definitely came out
That's
later.
wild.
Yeah, it came out later after the original owner, writer, manager person moved on or died or something, and then it came out.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So we're like the neo Carolyn Keene. That's cool.
Well, and VC Andrews didn't write her books after she died. R.L. Stein was a ghostwriter, so there are a whole bunch of.
So it's what?
Yeah. Like we were
What?
talking,
I'm too
we were
trusting.
talking a little while ago about ghostwriters making the publishing world go round. It's the truth.
Yeah, you weren't kidding.
Most of what we read is ghostwritten.
But it's more than that, right? Like it's not just ghostwriters. There's a whole team of people behind one book.
Yeah.
It's not just the ghostwriters. It's not just the author. It's not just the editors or the publisher or someone. It's like a whole team.
Yeah.
We had what, a team of 7, and it still wasn't enough to do everything we needed to do for a book, right?
Yeah.
What would happen if a ghostwriter became a ghost and was still writing? Like, is that like double down?
I think it's fan fiction.
Mm. No, I mean like
she's
sorry,
only, she's only writing for
interesting if there was like a ghostwriter that's actually a ghost.
Would they have to possess a human person, or would just the spirit world get to see her
That's the question, isn't it? Maybe there's like one human author and then like the ghosts just tell the stories and they're like writing all these crazy stories.
Isn't that what it is anyway? Like I have voices in my head every day, then I listen to them, and today they're dancing in my brain. They could be spirits, but I'm just telling their stories.
Whoa. So it's like levels of ghost writing. So there's ghosts influencing the ghost writers who are writing under a different name. We're going to need to get a phone tree together. This is getting complicated.
Is there room for Carson?
Yeah.
Carson for a ghost, like a ghost who writes?
Actually, Maya is a journalist. So in this next book, they have that convention. And because all of the people who are coming to the convention are orator spiritum, she gets to talk, and she like does this whole speech about being in the mirror realm and everything, and they take notes because not everybody can see her, but yeah, she gets to do that.
Oh my
gosh, that tickles my fancy, Kara. I do enjoy that scenario. Yeah,
that is. So we have in our story from produced by a writers collaborative, a ghost writer.
Technically, yeah, we do.
Yeah,
we do. I don't know how she got the notes down because I don't know that there's spirit paper and pen, but
yeah,
maybe one of Carson's kids transcribed her or something.
I mean, like it's a lot of my understanding of being a ghost. That's a lot of work to move things in the material world. So there's no easy way for them to get their thoughts down between like refrigerator magnets or whiteboard. Like they'd be exhausted. They're not going to be able to do it. They could narrate EVP style, like into a voice recorder, but then someone has to turn it into text But that's like the only way. You need like a human accomplice to make it happen, for sure.
Well, we won't dive too much into that for that book because it's already written.
No.
That's a whole side pocket. That's like a
hypothetical scenario.
That's like a novella, like Maya writes.
Yeah, she presses each key on the typewriter and she does one sentence and she's so exhausted she like disapparates for a day and a half and then she can come back.
So there's ghosts on I think it's Peacock, NBC. I don't know. It's Peacock or Paramount. I think it's Peacock. And one of the ghosts that's in there has the power to touch something. And the very first episode, he's like straining and going like this, and then the cup just goes like, it's just funny.
Yeah. That's exactly how I imagine it. Like they're trying as hard as they can, and it just makes such a small movement.
Yeah. It's really funny.
Yeah, it's like the gravity is just so crazy for them. Do you think ghosts are real?
I'm leaning
for real.
I'm leaning toward yes. Yeah.
I have so many questions about the ghost world.
I don't know exactly how they're real, but there's something going on there. Yeah.
I think there's something. There's got to be like some kind of spiritual realm where part of our humanness travels through and potentially gets stuck in. I asked this because I have told my therapist before that one of my biggest fears is getting stuck as a ghost. And we had to have a talk about it. So,
hey, afterlife is a legitimate concern.
Yeah. I was like, what if I die wrong and then I'm stuck as a ghost? And she's like, I don't think that's how it works. I was like, well, how does it work then? How do I avoid?
No, I'm cut off your head and you're going to be here forever.
Is that how that works? Okay.
I don't know. There's a bunch of different explanations. Like during the medieval, period, if you separated your head from the body, it meant that you couldn't go to heaven. And all these different ways that you had to keep the body intact in order for that person to be able to pass away. So these were
but if you didn't cut off the head, they'd reanimate as a vampire and kill the whole village. So it's really catch-22.
Yeah, if they got bit by some otherworldly thing, all kinds of crap can happen.
Oh my God, you know what they used to do? They'd like throw, I think it was beans or rice in with a corpse because they decided that vampires were very particular and weird and liked counting things, and they'd have to count all the beans or the rice before they'd chase after you.
See,
so
I heard that it's pixies or like elves or some kind of like city, like fae, and it's this very specific elf or and you throw stuff on it and then they can't not count it. So that's interesting how
there's overlap.
It's a kind of fae that is OCD. Yeah. So we need an OCD.
Yes, that's basically
one of our stories.
What it is. The Sesame Street vampire counts because they supposedly
what?
Yes. I love the idea of like neurodivergent crypto beasts in this world. I love the idea of like, you know what I mean? Like there's, it's a fae or a vampire, but they've got OCD and they have to count things. So you can distract them with a pocket full of beans, essentially.
Oh, that's awesome.
Then get away.
I mean, I think that's really clever, but that would have to be like a sub story, because if that's the way 100%. our main characters destroyed somebody or like beat them, eventually they're going to get done counting.
It just makes them
they're going to come back.
It doesn't like defeat them. It just makes them late for the carnage, I think, really. It's not like it protects the shields.
They could miss the apocalypse window.
Oh, so what you do, I think, is, like those cash grab booths where everything's floating everywhere. You put them in one of those and they can never get it all counted because everything's moving around, and then that's it. They're done. That'd be like a vampire prison.
Well, I mean, it's not even just vampires, because like if you think about the Smurfs, right? There was Brainy, and they always said that he ruined all the fun, but he was probably neurodivergent also. So it wasn't that he was rude.
Yeah, you want to know why it wasn't total blue-blooded carnage all the time in Smurfland? Brainy, not because of Papa Smurf, because of Brainy Smurf. That's true.
He was always coming in.
He he just thought everything was too loud because he was neurodivergent and they didn't like him.
No way. You're right. I never noticed that. Oh, good for Brainy Smurf. Unsung hero.
Oh, my oldest is autism 1. Highly functional, just a little bit different, approaches life just differently enough that you kind of stop and wonder, huh? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
My son just got diagnosed with autism too.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
the diagnosis helps, man, because when you finally have an answer to those questions, yeah. Now I'm all about
you can help them you can like teach them how to make their brain work for the world, or make their, have their brain. I don't know how to even say that. Like, just like my brain is very different than Julia's, is very different than Rebecca's. And I do things very differently, right? Because even though we're friends and we're friendly and everything, we still have our own perspectives on the world. And if you have neurodivergence, you just have to, it's like a key, right? You just unlock that part and be like, okay, now I can figure out how I can be in the world and not feel awful about myself or go crazy or something.
It gives you navigation pathways, because until my oldest son knew what to label, what was going on with him and how he was different, it was hard for him to figure out how to fit in with the normals. It's like, which rules do I follow? And, which rules am I breaking? I don't even know which rules I'm breaking. What's happening right now? Everyone's mad at me.
Oh, that's the hardest part, isn't it? The unspoken things that everybody seems to get.
Yeah. Yeah, those get really easy to identify once you have a diagnosis. It was really helpful.
Well, you get to I have to move to holding it, I think. Let me see here. My phone was dying, was not charging. Yeah, where are your blind spots? How do you adjust for your blind spots? I think that's a lot of it.
Every time
my chair is slowly turning. I'm sorry. I'm like rotating like I'm on the space station.
That's really cool. If you have a room in your house that's like the space station, I think everybody should have a chance to know that.
That sounds like a lot of people coming to my house, Kara.
Nobody knows where you live. You just tell them that you have a room that is anti-gravity. And then they stalk you.
No, that sounds bad. That sounds very bad. I'm going to pass on getting stalked, I think. I'm going to polite pass.
Sorry, Rebecca, I interrupted you again.
It's okay. I am curious, Kara, as you were writing Carson 3, because you just wrapped it up, we're getting the polish put on it to get it out in the world. What was your favorite thing about Carson 3?
Honestly, it's really weird. The dynamic between Carson and Ryan gets a little bit more complicated because she's being incredibly stubborn, and she's like, well, no, this has not happened to me. And he's like, well, I've been worried about you. Somebody tried to kill you twice. And she's like, yeah, that's not really about me. And then somebody attacks him, and then she gets really worried, and he like flips it on there. So it was really fun to do that little push and pull thing, because they're both in my head. And the arguments were really good. And I liked that the argument, it arced all the way, like from the beginning to the end. And there was a resolution, of course, but it was a good thing. It was real. It felt real. Like, we're all married. We all know the fun side of marriage. And so it felt more real. And their dynamic is they're involved together to solve the thing. So they're also like crime solving. Is that the right word? they're solving crime together while they're still arguing, but it's still teamwork. So it's a good thing. I liked it.
I think there's something we said about that. You have multiple facets to a relationship, and some of those facets have to be working on one level, and you got to put the other part on hold just for the sake of expediting the everyday stuff that has to happen in your life, or the stuff that's more important. So I think that's a realistic dynamic. I like Carson as a character. I like the fact that, I don't know, she feels like she has her own vibe to me that I really enjoy. I like thinking about the ghosts. I like thinking about the objects. I like thinking about the grief that she carries. I think they don't always have, these characters in this genre as those who go through a loss of a spouse through death. It's that their spouse is often a jerk in the tumultuous divorce. So her vibe just takes on like a different cast in that way. Like she's starting over, but there's something about how she brings the grief along with her that is well done. I think it stands out.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm doing a lot of research. I just can't help but notice that it stands out. So,
well, you had a really interesting observation about the fact that Carson works at a museum, and then her father-in-law's canopic item is a bowling ring. Do you remember what you said about those things?
No, only that I remember talking about how the bowling ring is very tacky, but I don't remember anything else beyond that.
She works in a museum with all of these beautiful things.
Like,
and then she has
gorgeous antiquities.
And she has
ruby encrusted. And then it's the tacky ass bowling ring. I feel like there's a little bit of a neo-Gothic undertone at times to Carson. Just the is interesting. Good times. I think that's, if I had to pick one of the books to visit, like if I had to go and kind of like fly on the wall on a, I think I'd want to hang out in the museum for sure.
Yeah.
Out of all of them, I'd hang out in the museum. It sounds amazing.
It's like a little.
Kara, which?
Hold on, Julia. Rebecca. Sorry. Rebecca, you got no. Just let Rebecca talk for a second.
I was just riffing on this idea of how cool it would be in the museum. It's like this little amusement park of adventure. In so many others of our characters' lives, they have to go out to meet the adventure. And in Carson's life, the adventure is like delivered to her in these wooden crates. And she opens them.
An introvert's dream, Rebecca.
I love how quietly confident Carson is. I think she's our only character who isn't. Gosh, no, she's doing plenty of self-discovery, but it's not the kind of self-discovery that she seems to be stumbling through. It's like she's grabbing it by the throat and bringing it to her. And I love that about her. Yeah. Like she's got plenty of questions and plenty of internal turmoil, tons of internal churn. But the way she manages it, it's like she knows what she wants and she goes after it. And she doesn't have all the answers. She's not afraid to ask for help. And from some people, I guess she's not going to ask for help from Ryan. So maybe there's some other dynamics that we're exploring in Carson 3 that I'm going to learn some more about Carson that just make her more lovable. But I love how
she's learning to ask for help. She's very self-contained and capable. And sometimes, and I know people who are like that in my life, and it is a struggle for them to ask for help because you just like, sometimes there's a lot riding on whether or not it works out and you don't want to take the risk.
Well, I mean,
That-
honestly, I'm sitting here thinking like, well, I was a single mom and there just came a point where I had to be like, I can't do everything.
yeah.
I just can't do
Yeah.
everything anymore. And I know, Rebecca, you were a single mom for a while too. And I don't know if it's the same, because it's a very different circumstance than mine. But I was just like, fuck it. I need help because
Mm-hmm.
so
What is it about Carson? Because you guys are right. She doesn't ask for help, but she's surrounded by people who love her and that she's connected to. So, what is this about Carson that creates community while also making her very stubborn and resistant to help?
Oh, that's an interesting way to put it. She creates a community around her, kind of pulls people in. Some people are just like that, though.
Because she's got,
You know what I mean? You ever met people
around
who are like, they're
her.
just like naturally a hub for things? Some
Mm.
people are just like that. Maybe it's that walking the line between the living and the dead thing. I don't know, maybe it's that kind of energy, and she just has a tendency, attracted energy, or I'm not sure how to put it, but she
Yeah.
just pulls them in.
She does. She's surrounded by people that won't let her go it alone. And it's just a beautiful picture. I love how they work together. And that's one of my favorite things about Carson is how everyone's working together. Almost in spite of themselves, right, Kara? Like you were talking about how Ryan and Carson are traipsing through, arguing as they're getting stuff done. It's almost like
yeah.
we love each other in spite of ourselves. I don't know. How would we say that?
Yeah, no, I mean, because you think about everyday life, right? And I don't, and I am not in your marriages, so I don't know this. However, I do speak to my friends who are married, and there's just some stuff that you just have to put a pin in, and you're like, well, that's not all right, or that's weird, but we have to work and we have kids and we have all this other stuff, and then you have to talk about it when you can talk about it.
That's right.
Or you suppress it, and then that's just not good for the marriage. So I was hoping that came across. Thank you. Carol turns into, she shapeshifts. So we have our first shapeshifter moment in Carson 3 also, which I really enjoyed. So I'm hoping, Julia, you'll look at it and be like, this is where we can put it in a little bit more. But Carol is Ryan's twin sister.
Carol feels like such a real person I've come across where I live. Like, I feel like I could go to any school event and come across like 6 Carols. You know what I'm talking about? At least. So that's funny.
Her too. Like, she's not just a pain in the ass, dictator. She's got like
no, and they can, and you're like, how does she get so much done? Holy crap. Everything is just in place. It's wild. Does she like grooming because she's part cat shifter?
She's not a cat. She's a mink.
What? No way. Why did I have links? Why do I have links in my head?
Because maybe it rhymes with mink.
It rhymes with mink. Oh, but mink, that's fancy. Very soft. Yeah, I think I could see her as a mink.
Which actually juxtaposes her personality.
It does.
Layers.
You ever touched a mink in real life? They are so soft.
My great aunt left my mother. This was in the 80s. A real mink stole. And I was terrified to go near it. So I just didn't do that.
Did it have a head, like a face?
I think that it did. It was when I was very young, and my mom never wore it, but we had it in our house. So,
oh, that's so odd.
Those were all the rage back in the day.
It's not odd to wear fur. Like, that part on a survival level, on a material culture level, makes sense to me. It's the leaving on of the head and the legs. So it's just like, and it's just draping on you. It's
so the head is like
weird. There's like these little paws like dangling around. It's so strange. What a strange choice.
Yeah.
So I just want to amend that a little bit, and I can't amend your statement, Julia, but yes, there was a time where people and humans had to kill animals to wear them so they didn't die of frostbite. But in the 80s and 70s, and probably when industrialization started, I mean, there were like farms. Like that wasn't the same. Like they're mink farms, right? That probably, hopefully not anymore, but they just put them in a crate and fed them, and then they died.
Kara?
And yes, ma'am.
Are there still mink farms?
I hope not. I don't know.
Watch out for Carol. Keep Carol away from the mink farms. Kara.
She's in a town where they know magic exists, so it's not going to be a problem.
Okay. That's good.
So I thought when you first introduced Carol, I thought she was going to be kind of just this two-dimensional bitch, kind of sitting off in the background, supporting character. No problem with that, right? We need one of those. But then in the second book, you give her this scene where she's talking about managing her sons, and it's not a long scene. It's just this tiny little vignette where she's describing her experience of her. I think, what did you have, 4 kids?
She has triplets.
Triplets.
Ah!
Yeah, triplet shifting kids. And she's like,
yes.
And it's like she softens for just a moment, and we get to see Carol doesn't have it all together, and she's admitting it. And it's such a satisfying moment. In that moment, I fall in love with Carol. It's like, this is why I love that scene.
Because you want to be able to feel like it shows you how good at spinning plates she really is.
Yeah.
By when she falters and can't quite do it, because she's so good at it. She keeps it all together. 3 shifter kids, are you kidding me? And she's like running all kinds of stuff. Like, I don't know how she does it all.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I started I'm like, ooh, I hope Carol gets more in the story, and that she gets to we give her more to do and more to be involved with, because I was like, okay, no, she's a cool character.
Yeah, I really like her. When she first came, I was kind of like, I don't know what's going to happen with her. But even in Carson 3, there's a lot of good moments between her and Carson. Because they ask her to plan the convention, so she's there.
We all know that person who just lives to plan big events, don't we? That's Carol.
I don't actually know anybody like that.
Really?
Wow.
Oh, they exist. No, and they've all thought about becoming like an event planner or a wedding planner someday, and then decided not to do it, but have 100% that kind of energy.
I'm actually divided on, is there such a thing as a stupid question? Because I want to, or is there not?
So
yes,
definitely. I used to think that was really like demeaning when you said that's a stupid question. And then my kids became teenagers, and then I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why are you even asking me that question? The shoe is right in front of you. Look at it. Like, where's my shoe? Why are you asking me?
I think the best way to put it is not smart question, stupid question, but logical or illogical question. Because there are questions that are illogical, and they are an obvious waste of time and serve no point in data gathering. And yet it is posed as a question. Or questions that are asked and you answer them, but apparently weren't supposed to answer them. So yeah, there are stupid questions. For sure.
My husband was making pizza one day, frozen pizza. I was in a different room doing something else, had the pizza, everything. He took it out. He did all this stuff. You know where it's going. I'm in a different room. He's getting the pizza ready. He calls to me in a different room and says, how long do I cook the pizza for? And I was like, look at the box. I'm not even in the room. So
But what if your oven doesn't function at the same standard as the oven they use to determine? No, it's like, no, just watch it. Just watch it and it's done. It's done.
But I think that's the joy of being a mom, right? A mom and a wife. You get to, these are the kind of things that most moms that I've spoken to have the same kind of things going on.
I trained my kids to treat me like their answer board. And I'm like, okay, come here. I'm going to show you how I find the answers to these questions. I get out my phone and I Google it. You get out your phone. We're going to do this together. You're going to Google this question and you're going to find the answer exactly the same way I do.
Yeah.
That's right. I'll even put my finger over your finger just like this. And then we're going to click. And there it is.
Good job. Good job. I'm so proud of you.
Good times.
Cool. All right.
Yes. Very good.
Thank you so much.
All right. Let's do this again in a week.
Yeah. I'll see you soon.
Bye, guys.